very effective way. The question for this century is, can you reimagine the state through the technology revolution, create a 21st century state that delivers high quality services at much lower cost to their citizens? This technology revolution gives us the opportunity to do something that is not been conceived of for many, many years. And that is to reimagine the state itself.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Our apologies to those who are struggling to find seats and are in the overspill. We had originally, I thought there was going to be an October election, right? So this was supposed to be setting things up for the new government, but then well, there was the July the 4th election, and just as well Labour won, really, otherwise. I don't quite know what we would have been doing at this conference, but yeah, and they certainly did. So I'm going to try and set the scene for today, and then we'll move to what I hope will be an interesting set of presentations and thought stimulation for you all. So there is no doubt about the ghastly inheritance the new government has been bequeathed by the last. Economic growth and productivity, which in the years prior to 2007 was well over 2%, has been well under for over a decade. And the present OBR forecasts are somewhat better, but they're optimistic, and they're still beneath that 2%. This has helped give Britain an unenviable triple whammy of high taxes and heavy debt, despite record spending, and poor outcomes in health, crime, and inequality, to name a few. On present plans, unfortunately, there is worse to come. Higher tax is already factored into the last government's last forecast, as is lower spending. When electric vehicles replace traditional cars, we will lose up to £25 billion worth of annual fuel duty, and demographics in the shape of an aging population are also against us. And this assumes we face nothing like another pandemic, whose bill was a whopping £373 billion, or an energy crisis which cost £52 billion. And we have some deep structural health problems. There are rising numbers of long-term sick of working age, big increases in disability benefits, and in mental health spending. So we have an unsustainable situation. Britain is not alone in this. As you can see, most developed nations face a similar challenge, though Britain is in a worse position than most. The simple and unavoidable truth is that unless we improve growth and productivity and drive value and efficiency through our public services, we as a country, Britain, are going to become much poorer. Much poorer. And therefore our politics even more divided and fractured. Now, that might make us pessimistic, but I do not share the pessimism. On the contrary, I don't think there's ever been a better time to govern, a better time to effect change, a better basis for optimism, and a surer basis and reason for hope. If we understand how the world is changing and how we use that change to change our country. In the short term, as we highlighted last year, some clear early wins can help on growth and productivity. As my institute has never tired of pointing out, and as the new government indeed is pledged to do, planning reform, seemingly dry subject, has the best potential of delivering a boost to growth by conventional means. But that's not just for infrastructure like renewable energy, but also crucially for housing. And a better Brexit deal will also help. But there is only one game changer. In our view, that is harnessing effectively the 21st century technological revolution. This here is a quote from the head of the IMF, but frankly, it could have been from the head of virtually any global institution in the world. Already prior to 2022, we were living through a tech-inspired revolution. And we can see that by looking at the companies which now dominate global markets, but then compare them with the corporate giants of 1997. And in the purple, obviously, are the technology companies. But note not simply the domination of tech companies today, and incidentally see the two pharmaceutical companies in the list, both of whom are offering the new weight loss drugs, but see the size of today's giant companies, some 10 times the market cap of the giants of yesterday. And now, with the breakthrough represented by generative AI, there is going to be another revolution on top of this existing one. The opportunities are huge. The risks are huge. But there is absolutely no doubt that this is an era of transformation. As our two young speakers were saying just a moment ago, things which were impossible will become possible. Advances which would have taken decades will happen in a few years or months. The value we can add, the improvements in efficiency we can make, the radical benefits and outcomes that we can secure could be truly revolutionary if we seize the opportunity. And there will be many well-meaning parts of our system and politics who will resist, who will downplay the opportunity and focus on the risk. But the biggest risk is not being too bold, but too timid. The task before us is a great renewal, to be the first nation to show the full opportunity of governing in the age of artificial intelligence. In this new world, companies and nations will either rise or fall. Now, the enormous blessing for the UK is that we are fortunately strong in the very thing which will determine success in artificial intelligence. We have some of the world's best universities. After America and China, we're in third place in many of the key indicators. We have in DeepMind, as we shall see later today, one of the best, possibly the best artificial intelligence company in the world. But we're in danger of forfeiting our position. Universities, clinical trials, data centers, these are the things vital to building strength in sectors like life sciences, green technology, modern financial services and manufacturing, and of course, in AI itself. So focusing on this is the 21st century industrial strategy for a forward-looking British government. Already, the private sector is starting to adopt AI at scale, increasing investment
making savings, changing recruitment. You see there the Goldman Sachs prediction of a $1 trillion investment in AI over the next years by the tech giants and other leading companies. Over the next decade, the adoption of AI will add significantly to growth, and over time could and should raise growth rates well over 2%. But we need government policy to lean in and accelerate its adoption. The TBI paper earlier this year had 22 recommendations covering everything from infrastructure to skills to procurement to reform capital markets to boost investment. However, for government, the most exciting opportunity the tech revolution can offer is in respect of government itself. Over the past months, TBI has been working on policy reports about AI, which for obvious reasons we didn't publish during the election, but we're publishing them now. And here is what they show. The report on how AI can be applied to the tasks of the public sector indicates that a fifth of workforce time could be saved just through applying existing AI solutions, creating £10 billion in annual savings at the end of the first term government and £34 billion at the end of the second. We then did a specific analysis of the Department of Work and Pensions, done in collaboration with Faculty AI, one of Britain's leading AI companies, showing how, again, presently available AI solutions could reduce backlogs, reimagine job centers, and cut benefit fraud. Then there is healthcare. We are living through a time of huge advance in medical science and treatment, all of it accelerated by artificial intelligence and the application of AI to data. Cardiovascular disease, obesity, cancer, all are being changed by means of diagnostics, treatment, and cure, helping to reduce the crippling economic cost of preventable disease. For the first time, a healthcare system geared to prevention rather than cure is within our grasp. Today, a new TBI report, prepared with the help of Andrew Scott and his team of economic modeling experts, shows in dramatic terms the link between preventive healthcare and wealth. Even a 20% reduction in disease incidence of the 6 main conditions, all of which are detectable or treatable, would yield big improvements, but not only in health, but in wealth, improvements in employment and growth, and improve public finances by increasing revenue and reducing benefit payments. A special study that we made into cardiovascular disease shows how, through prevention, we get a triple dividend in one parliament: healthier people, healthier economy, and healthier public finances. And if, as is probable, not simply possible, there are further medical advances, we could, by 2040, see even bigger gains. Then, an analysis on digital ID, which is an essential part of a modern digital infrastructure, could yield benefits not only for ease of interaction with government, but for the public finances. Though we have a little work of persuasion to do here, it has to be said. And then there's a further TBI report, and all these we make available to you. You can read at your
your leisure. A further TBI report shows the potential of AI to change the way that we learn and teach. And this, again, could have a transformative impact on growth in the long term. The effect of all of these public sector reforms could create £12 billion of annual fiscal space by the end of the first term, 40 billion by the end of the second, with cumulative savings in the first term of around 15 billion and 150 billion in the second, and enable a broader reimagining of public services like criminal justice, planning, transport, and other infrastructure. These gains are on top of the gains in revenue from faster AI-enabled growth, which itself could create up to £40 billion in extra annual revenue within a decade. Now, there are two qualifications to be made to the above analysis. First, there is no definitive precision in these types of predictive figures. They depend on assumptions which inevitably are open to different interpretation. There is a heavy element of speculation, and there can be a range of different outcomes depending, obviously, on policy decisions. But the point is this: the gains are of a significant magnitude. Nothing else can come close in terms of turbocharging growth and restoring public finances. Secondly, of course, there are consequences in these reforms. For example, for the reduction of the public sector workforce and the reorganization of healthcare. And these things will undoubtedly be controversial. So we're not saying that they're easy. And for the avoidance of doubt, let me again stress, generative AI, precisely because it is a general purpose technology, like any general purpose technology, it can be used for bad as well as good purposes. However, this revolution is happening. And the whole of human history teaches us that what has been invented by human ingenuity is never disinvented by human anxiety. How much exactly, when exactly, this for sure is open to debate. But that this is a revolution, every bit as far-reaching as the 19th century industrial revolution, and possibly more so, that is, in my view, beyond debate. So this is the challenge for the new government, for any government, the world over. How to understand, master, and harness this 21st century technological revolution. How to use it to drive economic growth, to build modern industrial strength, and to transform the public sector. And in our case, thereby breaking the unvirtuous cycle of ever higher tax, spending, and debt, but with poor outcomes, and replacing it with a virtuous one, putting us on a path to better levels of prosperity and services, but at lower cost. This is the answer to the perennial progressive political dilemma, whereby the sensible people appear not to be radical, and the radical people appear not to be sensible. And it is the answer to the unproductive, often presented as a binary choice between the state on the one hand and the market on the other. We are here unleashing a new future for both the private sector and what we call a reimagined state. There will be those who decry all this as technocratic, as opposed to the real-world problems of cost of living. But if done in the correct way, this revolution offers the best route also to a society that is not only more productive, but one that is more just, more equitable, and more secure. It allows a contemporary version of the combination of economic efficiency and social justice.
The last Labour government put the NHS back on its feet, improved education, cut crime, and through measures like the minimum wage, reduced poverty. This new government, using different means for a different time, can be a transformative government. This technology revolution is the real world we're going to live in. It will change everything, and positively, if we embrace it in a spirit of innovation, not introspection. So our belief at the Institute is that the ability to navigate its dangers and embrace its hopes will determine the future of Britain. And we have assembled some of the best minds from Britain and around the world to discuss it, which we shall now do. Thank you very much.